Hello, lovely people. Thank you for watching my video. My name is Roel. I love knitting and crocheting, sometimes a little bit of drawing. And I really love watching other people's videos on YouTube about craft. And now I love making my own videos about what I'm up to crafting wise. And I sometimes add a little bit about lifing. And today I've got a little bit of knitting, a little bit of crocheting, and I can tell you about my trip to Edinburgh. Thank you so much for all your lovely comments on my first knitting and crocheting video. It was just so lovely to see how many people watched it and leaving those lovely comments, so thank you very much. And there was one very observant viewer who noticed that the camel that I was crocheting was actually not a camel, but a dromedary. And so although the pattern says camel, I think, yeah, the pattern says camel, but you're right, it's one hump, so it's a dromedary. And I finished it, but I can't show you it in the flesh because I have given it to my lovely friend in Edinburgh who loves camels and dromedaries, and but I have made a picture of it and I will add it on after this video. And she loved it. She's got loads of other camels and dromedary in her house, even a massive big wooden one. And yeah, I found it nearly hard to give it away because it was very cute, and you do get attached to these little things that you make. I don't actually make a lot of stuff for other people, which sounds terrible and selfish, but I don't really have a lot of time. Well, I say I don't have a lot of time. We all have the same amount of time, don't we? It's how you choose to spend it. But I do work full time, so most of my crafting is just before. So I try to do a little bit before I work in the morning, and then most of it is in the evening. Sometimes I sneak in a little bit of crafting during a Teams meeting if I can. Yeah, I already feel I could have more time to craft the stuff that I want to make for myself, and I love wearing the projects that I make, or if it's like crochet ornament type thingies, I like to make them for myself as well. Although I have crocheted for my grandchildren, dollies and some little the little rabbits called Miffy. I have made those for the grandchildren, but yeah, clothes and accessories wise, they're nearly all for me. Once I made a sweater for a friend's 60th birthday. It was quite a bulky one, so it's still a lot of work, isn't it? We all know if you do any crafting that it takes a lot of time and effort, but I thought that was really nice for a special friend. But I don't know, it also made me very nervous. I think there's a lot of pressure when you knit something for somebody else. You're worried that it won't fit, that they may not like it, that they're just going to be polite and say, oh, that's nice, thank you, and then never wear it. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but yeah, I don't really like making stuff for other people, and just knit and crochet for myself. And I don't think I'll ever reach the point where I feel like I don't need any more clothes or accessories for myself, because they wear out as well. If you, especially socks, if you wear them, you know, you have to make some more. So dromedary is done and gone. I finished it just on time. I had to finish it off on the train to Edinburgh, but that was fine. There wasn't a lot more to do, and it was a nice thing to do on the train. It was a lovely train journey from Manchester to Edinburgh. It goes through the Lake District, so lovely views from the train. I tried to capture it a little bit and show you after this video, but it's always difficult from the train filming. And we had a lovely time in Edinburgh. It's a beautiful, beautiful city. However, I do think, like most beautiful cities, is a bit ruined by tourists, and I feel bad saying it because obviously I went there, not living there. was I a tourist? If you visit a friend, are you a tourist? I'd like to think not. But, and I think it also depends a little bit on how you behave when you're there, what impact you have on the place. And I feel for the people who live in these places. It must be a bit annoying when you just go out and about doing your daily business and you've got these groups of tourists walking around with headphones on, with a tour guide. And I think also it affects the kind of shops that are around. If you get the sort of the tacky touristy shops, that can't be very nice. So yeah, I'm always very aware of that, and I feel a bit bad about that, being there. But I try not to be like a very touristy tourist, if that makes sense. And I found the same thing in Bath. Bath is beautiful, but last time we went was last year to watch the rugby. So again, I'd like to think that if you go to watch a sport that you're not a tourist. I don't know if that's true. But before that, we went to Bath, before we married, so it must have been in the 80s. And I remember it very differently and not so touristy. Again, now it was just flooded with tourists. And I think it's just because there's more opportunity for people to go to places now because there's more accommodation because of Airbnb. I think before, the number of people that could go somewhere was a bit curbed by the fact that there were only hotels and bed and breakfast places that you can go to. But now it's just an unlimited amount of accommodation with Airbnb. And that was really apparent when we went to the Cotswolds 2 years ago. With two friends, we went and stayed in an Airbnb, and I sort of feel really bad about that now. To be honest, I didn't organise it, but nearly all the little cottages around us where we were, which would probably have been homes for people, where now it had the little black boxes on the door with the keys in for the Airbnb visitors. It just felt wrong. And it must be awful for the people who live there. Yeah, I don't know. What do you do about it? Should you not travel at all? That feels a bit wrong as well. How do you feel about that? Do you worry about that at all? Am I the only one thinking this? Anywho, it obviously didn't ruin our trip to Edinburgh. Edinburgh's lovely. And so what happened was Paul and I went on the Saturday. It was Paul's 60th birthday last week, and so I thought it'd be nice if we just go away somewhere for a day trip. Not that we actually really celebrate our birthdays, but I thought it was nice if he would come along for the Saturday. And we stayed in a hotel on Saturday night, and we had a lovely meal in the Spanish Butcher restaurant in Edinburgh, and then stayed in a hotel. And then Paul left on Sunday morning back to Manchester, and I stayed and had lunch with my lovely friend. And she lives just in Edinburgh, but in an area called Stockbridge, and it's really, really nice area. A bit more of a residential area, and we had a lovely time. I ate in an Italian restaurant, so I ate and drank a lot last weekend, but it was really, really, really nice. And she lives near this bakery, I forgot the name of it, Lane Bakery, I forgot, but I actually took a picture of the queue, and apparently there's queues outside the bakery all the time, because it's, so famous. And she bought some croissants from there, and we had them, and they were lovely. So of course, also I had to visit a yarn. If there's a yarn store, we have to visit the yarn store, and we did. And there's a beautiful yarn shop in Edinburgh called Twisted Ginger. Oh my God, is it Twisted Ginger? Ginger Twist. I've lost it. I don't know if I will put it in a description. I don't know, I'm thinking, is it Twisted Ginger or Ginger Twist? I think it's Twisted Ginger. I'll put it in the description, but it was a lovely, lovely yarn store. And they also have their own yarn brand, and they have these long bits of sort of, before it's put into a skein, the long strands of yarn all along the wall in the shop. I filmed that as well. I asked if I could film and they were fine with it. The lady was lovely, the owner of the shop. And then, very embarrassingly, my rucksack got caught in one of those strands and I didn't realise it, and I turned around to walk to the other side of the shop, pulling the whole strand of yarn from the wall, and the lady was not the lady who owns the shop, but another lady said, stop. And then I got untangled. But yeah, the shop owner was very gracious about it and didn't show irritation, so very, very nice people. And it was super hot, as it has been, but I promised myself that I'm not going to moan about the heat, but it was very hot in the shop, and I was sweating. Paul was having a coffee next door in the coffee shop, and I chose some yarn to buy because I always, if I can, I always love to buy some yarn in any yarn shop that I visit. And it was hard to choose, and I didn't really have a project in mind, but as I did when we went to Richmond to knit with me in London, I just let myself be inspired with what's in the shop. And in Knit With Me in London, there was this beautiful sample of a mohair vest top. It was double-stranded mohair, and I got inspired by that, and I bought 2 strands of mohair, and I have started knitting on, sorry, I'm just jumping from Edinburgh to London, back to London now, but that sort of segues me into my works in progress, and I started knitting with it. Now I'm talking about it, I'll just continue talking about that, and I'll go back to finished objects, which is not a lot. It's only half a finished object, 1 sock. So started with, do you remember in my last video I showed the silk mohair that I bought in Knit With Me, and I just got inspired by the sample project there. So I'm just going to put my goggles on to read the label. This is the Milk and Honey collar of the Mohair Silk Lace by Ainsworth and Prin. I haven't heard of them before, but I don't know if this is a mirror image for you, is it? I'm not sure. Let me know. Actually, don't. I can just watch it back myself. And yes, it's really nice. It was just an absolute pig to wind. I got so irritated winding this. So I've got this Lika wooden umbrella to put the skein on, and then the wooden winder. I don't know if those are the technical terms. And the mohair is, because it's so fine, it's like spider web, it got stuck to the tiniest little screws in the umbrella, and then if I didn't notice that on time, it would snap, and I then used the magic knot to tie it back together again. But also the yarn wouldn't come very easily off the umbrella because the mohair just sticks together more, and yeah, it was just so difficult to wind it. And in the end, the last bit, I just took it off the umbrella, put it on the floor, and tried to just wind it carefully by hand without having the whole skein getting knotted up. But that literally took probably a few hours for those 2 skeins to be wound. If anybody has any tips for winding silk mohair or just mohair, let me know. I haven't actually bought it before in a skein. The mohair I've bought before will have been already in a cake. And going forward, the thing is, when you buy this beautiful color, Milk and Honey, and it's that variegated color, and you don't get that in the cakes. I think I haven't seen them. It looks a little bit small, but if you sort of pull it out, it isn't. The gauge wasn't quite what was required. This is the Novice Slipover by PetiteKnit, and I've made one before, I think in maybe Drops Air, and I really, really like wearing it. Vest tops are so versatile. You can wear them in spring, autumn, winter, depending what you wear under or over it. So I was keen to knit this one now, so that will be one of the first things that I can wear again come autumn. I was getting slight autumn vibes. That sounds weird because it's boiling hot still. But I saw blackberries, actual blackberries ready to eat. Not all of them, but there were some on the bush that were ready to eat, and that is proper autumn vibes, isn't it? So yes, I was keen to do this, and I know that it's quite a quick project. It's needle size 5. I think for the collar is not on yet, and there's going to be bits of sleeve caps here that are not on yet, and of course I need to knit more on at the bottom first. But it's very quick. It is very quick. The gauge I got was 19 stitches for 10 centimeters, and it required 17, so it's actually doesn't sound like a lot, but that can be far out. I didn't want to go up a needle size because it's already quite airy knitted like this, and I didn't want it any more wholly airy, so I just gambled, because the one I made before was at the right gauge and is actually quite big, so I thought I could get away with it. And it looks like I can, because when you look at where the armholes are here, it is wider, you see, so it will fit. Super excited about this. I really love the colour, I really love the yarn, and you do notice the difference between the slightly more expensive, or quite a bit more expensive mohair with silk. I normally use drops mohair, and that's absolutely fine too, but yeah, this does feel a little bit softer. I don't tend to wear mohair on my bare skin anyway, so it doesn't really matter, and if I can get drops in the colour that I want, obviously I use that. And I'm now thinking, because I'm knitting this with the 2 skeins of 420 meters, I think this is it. Is this 420 meters? Yeah, 2 times 420, so that is the yardage that you would get in a skein of 100 grams of sock yarn. And I bought that beautiful seagrass skein in Knit With Me last, I showed in my last video, and you only have to look at the thumbnail, it's in the thumbnail. And I'm nearly loving it too much for socks, because you don't see socks that much. And I'm now thinking, if I combine that with a string of mohair, then I could make another vest top like this. You can't have enough vest tops, can you? So I might actually look into that. If it is at least 400 meters, I'm sure it is, I might do that. I could always make it a bit shorter, because these vest tops, you can wear them quite easily a bit shorter as well, especially if you're wearing a shirt underneath it. Right, so super excited and happy with this, and I might even have that, well, I definitely will have this finished in the next video so I can show you. I'm not sure if it's still this hot, I won't have it on, but I think by then it will probably have cooled down a little bit. I think the nights are already getting a little bit cooler. So super happy with that. So I'm now hop skip jumping between finished objects and works in progress, but the only thing I finished was the one sock. Last video I showed the Samon as a shop in Holland, which is like a very affordable textile shop. It's a bit like a Poundland, but with focused on textiles. I'm very happy with this. I've used the basic pattern of Summer Lee's short socks, but I've made a fold over little cuff here where I did 10 rows in stockinette, 1 row in purl, 10 rows in stockinette, and fold it over, knit it together, then another 10 rows, then a slip stitch heel, and then just knit the foot, and the toe is alternate knit and then 1 round of what do you call it? I forgot the word, where you reduce stitches. so 1 stitch on either side, on each side, so 4 stitches at a time, till I've got 16 stitches left, and then I Kitchener stitch it. So I'm working on the second one now, and it fits really well, love it. I cast on 64 stitches for socks. I used to do 72. I have big feet. I'm also tall, so it's all in proportion. I'm 6 foot, and I have shoe size 10, 11, I think. Yeah, it's mostly 11. So I knit the foot until I have 20 centimeters from the heel, and then I start the toe. And Summer Lee advises, if you knit from the top down, that to determine when to start on the toe is when you try it on, and if the foot just comes to the end of your little toe, that's when you start on reducing for the toe. And that is good advice. So what I've got it, my sock projects in this little, it's just a Sostrainy, oh, has it got a stain on? I'll show you the other side. Sostrainy grainy little cloth bag. I like these for traveling because they're just very thin. I do have some really nice project bags made by very clever people, but they tend to be a bit sturdier and a bit thicker, and when you're traveling and you haven't got a lot of space in your bag, then these Sostrainy grainy bags are really good. And I've pimped it up with the lovely bag label from Lieselot from Door mij met Liefde, which is a Dutch online shop, and that was kindly gifted to me by Yvonne from Knitting Inden. I will link all of that in the description. But yeah, I've got these for socks, and I've got one for a sweater and for a blanket. And as it so happens, this colour goes well with the bag as well. That was unintended, but nice. So that was my 2 works in progress that I'm working on at the moment. And my main focus is now to get the vest top done, because then I want to start on my next project, which is also a vestie. But it's sort of a cardigan vest, so a sleeveless cardigan, if you like. And that was inspired by my trip we're going back to Edinburgh now, back to Twisted Ginger Twist. I will find out. And there I saw in the window, they had a sample of the Nordic Bloom, which is a pattern that first appeared in Liner magazine, Nordic Knits. And I've always wanted to buy a Liner magazine, but then at the last minute I sort of chicken out because it's 18 or 20 pounds. I think it's at least 20 pounds. And not that it's not worth it, it's definitely worth it. It's a great, great magazine. It comes out 4 times a year. And I've been tempted loads of times. I think there was once one called Neon Nudes or something like that, neutral neons, and that was a combination of sort of using neutral yarns with some neon colours as well, and that looked really, really nice. I might actually look for that and still get that now. I've seen one and really enjoy it. So they had it's actually the pattern on the front, and they had a sample of that in the window in a different colour, and I'm also going to do a different colour. From the one in the window was yellow, and this one is sort of mossy green, which I also like. Beautiful colours. And let me just find it in here. So this magazine's got beautiful photographs, but also interviews, and in this magazine there's an interview with PetiteKnit. Well, she's not called PetiteKnit, she's called Mette Wendelbo Ockels. So you get interesting articles in there, and then all these lovely photos, and at the back of the magazine is where you get all the patterns for the featured projects. But yeah, just to sort of give you an idea, so these are all sort of Nordic inspired knits, and let me just find the this is also very Nordic. It's very Norwegian, isn't it? So I think I know that this top comes with long sleeves and short sleeves. And I'm going to make the one with the no sleeves or short sleeves, so that's that one. And you knit it from the bottom up, and then you've got this beautiful flower colour work in there, and it's nice and simple because it's just two colours, so you're not having to manage several colours. And then it's got 3 buttons, and then a sort of a capped short sleeve. It's not really a sleeve, but the long sleeve top looks like that, if you can see. So it's a bit just the same with sleeves, I guess. It's by Caitlin Hunter, and I'm pretty sure I've got another Caitlin Hunter pattern on the needles, which is the halibut sweater, and which is coming along nicely, but I'm not working on it at the moment because it's so hot, so I'll pick that up again when it gets a little bit cooler. So I'm getting along fine with that pattern, so I'm hoping that this is also good. I'm always a little bit worried about knitting from the bottom up because I think it gives you less freedom to change, obviously, the length. You can't then, you've committed to the length. But yeah, well, this looks like the length that I would like anyways, quite short. So I'm just going to trust the process. The yarn I've chosen for this is by a make that I hadn't heard of before. Oh, funny enough, I hadn't heard of it before, but I think I had. There is this lovely YouTube channel called Sophie Knits Daily, and she's got a lovely partner called Wilson, and he also knits daily and has, does he have his own Instagram? But together they are YouTube. Especially so she has Sophie Knits Daily YouTube channel, which they do visits to yarn shops, and they've also traveled for a bit. But they also have their YouTube together. I forgot what that's called, but you'll probably find it if you stumble on her. I'll put it in the description. And they're just so lovely together. They both like knitting, and they actually had spoken about this yarn because they were traveling in a camper van and they were in France, and they bought some Fonty yarn. Have you heard of Fonty? And that was for sale in the yarn shop in Edinburgh. And so I got this as the main colour. I've always wanted to make something in that sort of wine red colour. I don't think this has a name. Oh, I've lost my goggles. Here they are. But it's got a number. The number is 631. So I guess I think that's the colour. It's got a little QR code. If that's of any use to you, I'll show it to you. Maybe you can look it up. It's called Polaire, and it's 100 meter 50 grams. And here's the information. So the lady in the shop said that they use this one for the sample. It's not the one that they use in the pattern, but looking forward to that. And I've got this as the contrast collar, and that is color number 635, in case you're wondering. And I think that will look nice together. So I've got a lot of reflection in my glasses, sorry. So I'm really looking forward to that. So when I finish my mohair vest, I will start on these. And then they also have lovely, by the way, Ginger Twist also sells, what's it called? Fabrics, lovely fabrics. I filmed a little bit of it. And if you're interested in sewing, then you might like that. And they sell lovely buttons as well. And I got these ceramic buttons to go on the vest. I think that will look nice. What do you think? Excited for that. I always want to be a little bit careful not to get too excited about the next project when you're still doing one project. It's so easy to not lose interest in a project, but it's a bit like in life as well. If you don't savor the moment and you're constantly looking ahead to what's coming next and missing what you're doing now. And so I really want to remind myself that I have to enjoy what I'm working on now fully before I start thinking too much about the next thing. Then, oh, back to work in progress. I am really all over the place, but I'm also done a little bit on the mandala. This is a mandala pattern that I found on YouTube, but I feel that and I don't know why I didn't do that. I need to find out if there's a written pattern of it as well, because I haven't worked on it a lot. And I think one of the reasons for that there's two reasons. One is that because I've done it from a YouTube and it's very clear, it's by a lady, a Dutch lady, but it's in English. And she's called at Bianca's Crochet Palace. And it's a super video, easy to follow, but of course every time I need to go to the next round with a different stitch, I need to find the video, find where I am, and look up the instructions for the new stitch, and then play it a few times, go back again till I've got it in my head. And then, so I don't know why I haven't even looked for, I'm thinking there must be a written pattern maybe. And I don't mind paying for it. I don't mind paying for patterns, because these designers put a lot of work in providing those instructions, and I couldn't do that myself. And so I'm always happy to support that. I use free patterns as well, if they're available free, but I'm always happy to pay. So I've done a little bit more. So I'm using this yarn called Yarn Smith's Headliner, and Yarn Smith is the brand from Wool Warehouse, their own brand, and they've got all kinds of yarn in that. And this is the dupe for the Scheepjes swirl. Is it whirl or swirl? I think it's swirl. Scheepjes has a whole range of these, and I've made a shawl with one of them once, and that was the colour Strawberry and Cream. It was really nice, and I really enjoyed that, and I enjoyed that way more than this. I can't remember now whether the one I used for the shawl, I'm going to look that up, what the yarn was made of, because this is 100% cotton and it's 100% splitty. It splits like nothing else. And I wish now I'd gone for the one that has got some acrylic in it, because I think that probably doesn't split as much as this. It's very annoying to crochet with, in my opinion, and I probably wouldn't buy it again. But I'm invested now, and I chose it for the colours. It looks like I've nearly used up all the pink in the middle. I'm going to go to the colours on the outside, that's nice about using these kind of yarns that go from one colour to another, because it makes you excited to work on the project, to see when the next colour comes and what that's going to look like. So far, let me just find the front and the back. It's always a bit tricky with crochet, isn't it? What the front and the back is. I think it's this. So far, this is going to be a big mandala that I'm going to hang on the wall. I'm going to put it in a wooden frame, a round wooden frame, stretch it. And yeah, I really enjoy working on it. So you learn the new stitch for the new round. After a few, you remember it, and then you just keep going. I love working on it, and I'm also looking forward to the end product and hanging it on the wall in my study. Right, I think that was it. I made a little list. There's my little notebook here. Talked about the sock, talked about the dromedary, the mandala, the Novice Slipover. Yeah, I think that was it. I hope you're doing something that you love doing. What are you crafting? I haven't actually done a lot of drawing recently, and I do feel like I want to do it, but I'm just feel so busy, and I feel like I have to be a little bit more in control of my time. Every week I think this week I'm going to be a little bit more organized, so I make time for what I want to do on top of my full-time job and looking after grandchildren 1 day a week, spending nice time with my husband, and there's just not a lot of time left. But then, you know, a few years ago, I think at the height of Beyonce's fame, my daughter said, I think she heard this sort of expression. Somebody said, well, we all have the same amount of hours in a day as Beyonce. And I always have to think about that. Yeah, we do all have the same amount of hours, and we should take charge, be in control. I'm not complaining because I do get to spend a lot of time doing what I want to do, and I'm really, really happy with that. I hope you are too. Let me know what you're up to, and again, thank you so much for watching and subscribing to this channel. I really, really love that. It's such a, I think it's such a friendly, inspiring community, the crafting community, and yeah, I'm just so happy to be part of that. Have a wonderful couple of weeks, and hope to see you again in my next video. I love you lots. Bye.